Hello and welcome to the Wisden Cricket Weekly podcast. Yas Rana, the only man who worked harder than Mohammad Siraj during the Jimmy Sachin, is having some well-deserved time off. So it's me, Ben Gardner, who'll be your host for the next couple of weeks. And with me, I've got Cameron Ponsonby and Katya Witney to talk a bit more about that England-India Test series because, well, why not? And look at what's been going on across the globe in Harare, in Darwin and in Derby. And we've also got one of the stars of the England-India series, Washington Sundar, joining the show for a chat as well. But first, let's go to Mark Butcher for his thoughts on where the 100, which kicked off last week, goes next. So, Mark, the 100. I almost can't bear it talking about, how is the 100, what is the 100, why is the 100, but I guess we do have to. And I guess this season is sort of interesting in that nothing's changed while everything's changed. Like there's this massive influx of cash that's come in. Team owners are saying that they want to make it the IPL of the Northern Hemisphere. And then you watch it and it's, Hilton Cartwright and Michael Bracewell adding 9 off 13 balls. How have you found it so far? And, how do we kind of view this season of the competition everyone talks about and not that many people seem to actually care about, if you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, okay. So first and foremost, the people in the grounds, as far as I can tell, they care about it to the extent that it is a really great day out for families and the kids, as it's been pretty much from the start. And as long as there are, foam fingers and fun and japes and signatures to be had and all the rest of it, that they're having a great time. It's a holding year, isn't it? This year, really, it feels as though whatever is going to happen, and whether or not this thing becomes, something like the SA20 or whatever the other big competitions, not the IPL, because very difficult to make anything like the IPL. We will find out the nature of that next year. Obviously, a lot of the owners are in town. They're out there watching, looking at their investments at the moment, and appearing on the pitches and around the stadiums. Doubtless having a look at it and going, okay, well, this is all well and good, but for our money, we might want to tweak a few things. And it was interesting reading the piece. I think it was Will McPherson sat down with who was it? It was the owner of the London Spirit, wasn't it? The tech giants. And reading between the lines, it was all very nice and all very sort of positive, obviously. But the first thing is talking about the Test series leading right into the first day of the 100. Not going to have that. We don't want that to happen anymore. We need to make sure that all of the England players are available right from the very beginning, which kind of like already whispers to the idea of shifting the schedule further, or the other cricket further, in order to make the window that the 100 currently sits in more accessible to the big names that they are going to want to see out there on the park. And so things like that are instructive as to what's coming down the road. These people who have made gazillions and who have spent a fair chunk of money, but in terms of their net worth, not a great deal, are not going to be sort of benign and sit back and allow this thing to sort of continue on its current path. There will be changes, and that will have consequences for cricket elsewhere, for the other cricket that people hold dear and cherish elsewhere. And there is absolutely no question that is going to happen. So that's on that score. On the field score, it's a similar problem that we had last year. We've got, I think, and this is my personal view, I think that when it comes to pitches for the 100, because you're essentially playing two different sports on the same surface, what is good for the women's game, i.e. extra grass, make the ball carry more, make it easier to strike, make run scoring better and freer. You then play a men's game on exactly the same surface, which has got that little bit of extra grass in order to make the ball carry. And then suddenly you find conditions that are very, very difficult for the men to score runs on, just simply because the ball is hitting that surface harder and faster and all the rest of it. More revs on it from the spinners, whatever you like. And so on the field, it's been a little bit of a struggle, barring a couple of notable exceptions. and that's been an issue for the last couple of years, really. I mean, we've had um, predominance of teams chasing winning matches, because teams have had no idea, no idea how to go about putting something that's vaguely dependable on the board, in conditions that have been tricky. And so it hasn't been as much fun to watch as it was in the first year. Remember, the first year it was like, seemed like every game went down to the very last ball. That's been few and far between so far, but we're in the early stages yet.
Yeah, it's interesting that you call it a holding year, because I think it's been referred to sort of as a transitional year, but there's not really any transition happening yet, because the
No.
team owners, they take charge. What, 1st of October, I think, is the date for that. They've given some money over, and 6 of the 8 have signed deals, but that's all that's kind of happens. So it almost feels like a holding year or a needs must year, where you've made this thing to get all this money in. You've now got the money in, but you need to do one more year before those people can actually do anything with it. You mentioned obviously that the England player windows, and that being one thing they're going to look to change. What else are they going to look to change when they do kind of get their hands on it? Is it, there's the format, obviously. I guess the teams are going to look different.
Yeah.
What else
Well, those two things are the kind of like the first and foremost. Obviously, you've got your affiliations with IPL franchises in, was it 4 out of the 8 cases? Is it 4? Is it more than that?
I think it's 4. Yeah.
4, yeah. And so, they'll be keen for their liveries and stuff to replicate their corresponding IPL teams, as they've done in all of the other franchises they've been involved in around the world. You would imagine it would be T20. You might even see, I've heard talk of the fact that the women's and men's will no longer be double headers, which again, is another new can of worms for the whole thing, in terms of, does that make the whole thing need to last longer, or does it mean that the women's games get pushed to grounds outside of the main ones, in order to keep it a similar sort of length of tournament? Who knows? But that will have huge ramifications for for the women's tournament, which as everybody has said right from the very beginning, has been sort of like the major beneficiary, the major success story of the 100 since its inception. So none of this is set in stone, but there are the things that you're hearing in terms of what might be coming down the track.
I think we should talk about the women's competition a bit more, because the first engine with the double headers, always worth remembering that those came about by accident. That was sort of like the original plan before COVID was not to have double headers, was to have because I think there was a feeling that women's sport had moved beyond, or should be looking to move beyond, the need to be kind of like carried on by the momentum of the men's competition. And now it's been a really strong thing where the branding has, worked together. But at some point, you are going to want it not to feel like the warm-up act every day, basically, which feels like, to an extent. But then also, I get the feeling that in this private investment coming in, my worry is that how much are these new team owners going to care about the women's aspects of their teams? How much was that part of the process coming in? Or do they want to basically run a really, really good men's team, and then they kind of feel that they have this team linked to it that they have to run? Or will some feel like, and others feel that they want to really put effort into it, and then you get like a gulf in teams? I worry basically that the women's competition in this private investment, because if you're paying 150 million for a franchise at Lords, you are paying the bulk of that money at the moment for the men's team, and then the women's team, I worry about it becoming an afterthought, which it wasn't to begin with.
Well, without looking into the minutiae of the deals, we can't say for certain that that's what's going to happen. It might be that that's not allowed to happen. And you would think, from the ECB's point of view, that they would have put some safeguards in place to make sure that that isn't the case, because that kind of then explodes the whole thing. As I've said, the women's tournament has been a major success story, and yes, absolutely, and the girls themselves will admit it. That part of the reason why they get 13,500 coming through the gate at the Oval or at Birmingham or whatever prior to the men's game is because the men's game is afterwards, for sure. But the idea that the whole thing, the Northern Superchargers, men and women, are part of one entity is kind of what has made this thing stand out from the crowd, much more than 100 balls and 10 balls from one end, all of that, all of the sort of gimmicky nonsense. But that side of it has been one of the sort of standout parts. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I think it would have a pretty detrimental effect on the women's 100 if they were to split it like that, for sure. I can't see any reason, any way that wouldn't be the case, or the outcome would be bad for the women's version if it wasn't tied in with the men.
When these team deals got announced, there was sort of a round of interviews done by the Richards at the top of the ECB with various outlets. And there was an interesting line from Richard Thompson when he spoke to TMS, where he said he felt it was basically only a matter of time before Indian men's players would come into the 100. Is he right, do you think? Is it only a matter of time before we've got, Kohli strutting out for Birmingham Phoenix? Or
well, I mean, they've managed to hold out for this long without sort of moving away from that core principle that their players would play IPL cricket and IPL cricket only. And so I'd be very interested to see what deals have been done to unlock that impasse. I don't know. I'd be very surprised. But we shall see. Again, the issue is that there are only 4 IPL owners who are involved in the 100, and in order to get sign off for all of the Indian players or any Indian players to be available for it, you'd need all of them to say that was okay. And the other 6 owners, team owners, that aren't involved in the 100 would certainly, they'd want something in return for that, wouldn't they? And it would be something that would be very difficult to promise. So I would imagine that's unlikely.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is it's not even really down to the IPL team owners, it's down to the BCI, and those are different things, right? And we can sometimes
very, very true. But the power that is wielded across the board, it would take quite a lot to shift the consensus that stands at the moment. The BCCI, they don't stand, I don't think, to gain a great deal from breaking with the tradition that they've had since the beginning of the IPL either. So I think it's a pretty tough ask. But who knows? Who knows? There could be some incredible deal going on behind the scenes that hasn't leaked out as yet, that says that this is going to happen. But I would be very, very, very skeptical.
Yeah. And I also get the feeling that if there were to be a change in policy, which feels unlikely, but it would be a change in policy rather than a handshake with the 100. So because you've got 6 IPL team owners in the SA20, and they seem to care as much about that as they do about the 100. Those guys are involved in that, and they would want their players in that as well. Yeah,
so it opens up an enormous, gargantuan can of worms if they were to do that. And you're quite right. Why would they? Why, if they've decided not to do that, or not to allow that to happen in the SA20 in any other tournament, why would the 100 be any different? So watch this space, but I'd imagine you'd be watching for a very long time.
Yeah. So given that, there's this it feels like every tournament wants to be the second in the world after the IPL, right? That's the goal that every tournament says. What does a tournament need to be that, and to be clearly that, I guess? Because you've got, the SA20 has started well, BBL is looking into private cash, you've got a few others sort of kicking around. What would it take for the 100 to be that? Because it's broadly, you have your domestic players, fine, England's got a good pool of domestic players. It's broadly the same overseas players, maybe with a bit of a fluctuation for international availability in the other competitions you're dealing with. And apart from that, all these competitions kind of look a bit the same. So how do you stand out from the rest, as it seems like these team owners are saying they want to, at least the Tech Titans are, who I guess are also different because they're one of these who aren't so involved in all these other leagues, whereas all the others are involved in all the other leagues.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, it's very difficult, because what you need is a population of over 1 billion who all think cricket is the major sport in the world, that overrides football or rugby, as it might be in South Africa, or cricket is still, outside of India and Pakistan, probably Sri Lanka, the Asian countries, football is still not the number one sport. And that's the thing that the IPL, beyond anything else, beyond the money, beyond anything else, the thing that the IPL has over every other is they have a massive population who all think that cricket is or who believe and who enjoy cricket as the sort of the number one pastime, the number one thing to enjoy and follow in terms of sport in their country. And unless you can figure out a way of knocking football off that pedestal here in the UK, you're struggling. I mean, this weekend. So this was the first weekend of the 100, and the Premier League season started. Saturday was the last. That was the only Saturday that we were going to have in the 100, whereby there wasn't Premier League football being played. So it's a pipe dream, really. I mean, it's not a pipe dream to be second. I know that, but in terms of reaching the same sort of or similar exposure and excitement to the IPL, you're absolutely dreaming. So what do you do, right? So what should the goal be then? The goal should be that you year on year you garner more and more interest in the game as a whole. Because of the 100, it brings people in at the base level, and they realise that it's a great sport and something that they might want to follow in other formats, which I'm sure has happened. Difficult to track the hard evidence on that, but I'm sure it has. People have come in. The kids are jam packing the grounds as we speak. Where was I over the weekend? I was London at the Oval. I was Birmingham on Friday, and Trent Bridge on Sunday, and kids are plenty. And there you go. So you've got that. That has begun. That process began right at the very beginning, and there's no reason to think that isn't a good thing for the game as a whole going forward in all the other formats. So that's number one. The second thing is you put on a product in the ground that gets people talking about the game of cricket. So it needs to be entertaining, and it needs to be exciting, and it needs to have a wow factor. And that's a more difficult thing to engineer, because there are so many variables at play. Go back to the pitches thing again. But we've sort of been talking about this in commentary on Sky as to, okay, well, if you got something that works well for the women's, i.e. a bit more grass, a bit more carry, and all that kind of stuff, then why not get the lawnmower out and shave some of it off between games? So the men's game is played on a slightly different surface and gives the batting teams a bit more chance of sending the ball out of the park, which after all is what it's supposed to be about. I don't care what anybody says. People moan about the poor old bowlers getting caned in various competitions and in around the world, but honestly, 100 balls where 110 is a difficult score to get is not a great deal of fun to watch. The crowd at Trent Bridge on Sunday was extraordinary. The ground was packed, looked great, yellow everywhere, a lot of home support, and for vast amounts of time in both games, it was silent. And I've been at Trent Bridge where it's been absolutely rocking before. Was it silent because people were sort of sat there completely and utterly engrossed in the contest between bat and ball? I didn't think so. I thought it was silent because they were bored. There was just nothing happening, or not enough happening for an audience that is there to be gratified by great feats of the ball flying and diving stops and stuff, not people getting in close and stopping singles. It's very difficult to get people excited about that sort of thing. So there, I mean, that's it. What else do you do? I think there was evidence in terms of the numbers, the TV numbers. I think the most watched game so far has been the Manchester Original Southern Brave, which was game 2, I think, back at the beginning of last week. And you had Josh Buttler and Jimmy Anderson, and so there's definitely evidence that the names, the big names, the big recognisable names make some sort of a difference. The reception that Jimmy Anderson got when he walked out at the Oval on Saturday morning or early Saturday afternoon was incredible. The whole ground on their feet cheering him out to the middle as he came out to bat. So the names do matter, and which is why things might get rearranged a little bit in order to make sure that there are more of them when the new owners take over.
Yeah, we'll be keeping a close eye. I'm keeping a close eye on the attendances as well, which are. I think that there's at the moment a slight dip in the average from last year, but I think the trends are almost more interesting, where the London games are really strong. Edgbaston is pretty strong, but actually Old Trafford, you're right that cricket was good to watch, but in the ground, they're the ones that are almost struggling the most to get numbers through the gates. So yeah, and Trent Bridge, I guess, is a sort of special case in that the ground is a bit smaller, but so it feels packed with an attendance that isn't up there with the the sort of the average of the competition.
Yeah.
But yeah, and yeah, I think the one other thing that I took from the Tech Titans did loads of interviews. I guess interesting as well that they seem to want to get the English media on side. Like there will be other team owners who will come in and not talk to any journalists and be like, "Now we're just going to do our thing." That these guys actually want to sort of, say this is our vision and talking to not just one journalist, but actually working to get them all in. They were talking about the fact that they see it's the domestic market that is going to make or break this thing. So as much as you can get the international names in and try and get an international TV audience, if it's strong in its own country, that's the only thing that can make something good. And the other thing,
I completely agree with that, because I think that's what makes the SA20 so much fun. And you almost have to completely ignore what goes on outside your country during this. You have to really focus on making sure that the fan experience, that the talk around the tournament, the advertising, and the Tech Titans will know all about that. The messaging is very, very strong in your own country, and then anything you get on the outside of that is very much a sort of a bonus and a plus. So I 100% agree with that. What is it for? It's for the English summer, and for garnering excitement and talk around the game of cricket during that period of time. That is what it's for, and anything else you get on top is like icing on top of a very lovely fruitcake. And so that is where the concentration needs to happen in all of these tournaments, and that's what India has done so well. It's kind of sod everybody else. We'll get on with it and make it as brilliant as we possibly can, market it through the roof, make it sound like the most unmissable ticket in town. And if anybody else wants to kind of join in and get a piece of the action, then great. But for us, it's about right here, right now.
Well, cheers, Mark. We will talk to you again next week. Cam, we are 8 days on from Siraj ripping out Gus Atkinson's off stump at the Oval. There's a great photo of the TalkSport booth at that final moment, with everyone kind of looking amazed at this historic thing that they're witnessing, and you looking absolutely distraught. How are you feeling now?
Yeah, I was actually really happy at how sad I was, if that makes sense. I think there's so much. I do want England to win, but for the most part, I'm pretty apathetic to kind of general cricket results. But on this occasion, over the course of 6 weeks, I got like really invested, as kind of in a very fanish, boyish way, where it was feeling tribal. It was feeling kind of just, I was there. I was being biased. I wasn't trying to do anything other than being like, I want England to win. I was being greedy. I wanted them to win by 1 wicket, ideally. Kind of, it's the best case scenario where you have this ultimate sporting finale. And yeah, I do. I don't know why I'm immediately going to a negative. I absolutely find the idea that it was as good as 05 nonsense. Like, there were people in the streets after that series. It was so big. There was kind of 3 or 4 times the viewing figures. But in terms of like recent memory, from a personal point of view, it was awesome. And I do think, and I know we're all guilty of doing this, and not everything builds towards the Ashes, but it does kind of, in a weird way, ramp up the jeopardy of the Ashes a little bit more, because England have had this amazing couple of years under McCullum and Stokes, but they don't actually have a series win against Australia or India in that time. It's 2-2 all draws at home. It's the 4-1 defeat away in India. And were they to lose in Australia at the end of this year, had they won here over the summer, you go like, oh, we can hang our hat on that. Like, mate, it's so hard to go to Australia. No one's going to do that. But the fact that they haven't done that, and they could potentially end this kind of era without any of the kind of big 3 victories, I think that is noteworthy.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to ask you, Katya, about how you saw the series and where it ranks, and because I think people got slightly carried away by how good the Oval was, because that was an all-time classic test. I mean, the two sides were a bit weakened by the end of it. No Pant, no Bumrah, no Archer, no Stokes, that kind of thing. And the overall narrative of the series was really good, with a big chase, and then the Old Trafford, like how the test played out. They played it in the perfect order, kind of thing. But I think that a lot of it was not great to not like completely compelling to actually watch while you were watching it, if you see what I mean. So like, you had one classic test that ended it all, that changed people's perspective on it a bit, and then 4 games that were all like good to very good test matches, but not completely stand out. And so I'm not even sure if it tops the 2023 Ashes for me. I don't know, where does it sit for you?
That's actually what I've been trying to weigh up in my head over the last week. Was it a week now? A week and a half? 2 weeks? I don't know. I've lost track of time. Whether it beats 2023, because I agree with Cam, like it doesn't beat 05. Not that I can really remember 05, but it doesn't beat the 05 Ashes in terms of the DVD box set anyway. But in terms of 2023, I'm kind of unsure. During the last morning of that Oval Test, when we were completely caught up in everything that was going on in front of us, and there was no doubt this was one of those moments of Test cricket that's going to be shown on videos of all-time classic matches in the future, I was reflecting on the series and thinking, actually, this has been quite good. Like, this has been quite a good series, but I hadn't realised it until that point, because you had the Lord's Test that went right down to the wire and everyone packed in on the last day to see that. And I think the fact that the Lord's Test went on so long actually detracted from how good it was, because everyone was expecting it to be quick and done. And then it wasn't that watchable for all of that day because it just went on for so long and it was actually quite slow. The Manchester Test again was really, really good. But I wonder, as England's supporters, followers, maybe it's because India won those 2 of the best kind of finales to the Test, and England won the Lord's one, and India won the last 2 really good finishes, or like, I guess the draw can be classed as a win almost, that we look back at it and don't kind of notice quite how good it was at the time. I don't quite think it tops 2023, and I'm going to be boring and be an England fan, England grown up, that the Ashes does just top it for me, especially that kind of Ashes where it was the first Stokesian captain Ashes. It was Australia coming in pretty much at the peak, having just won a World Test Championship final. The context around that, some of the stuff, Headingley, Lords, all of that kind of trumps it for me. But I've also found myself reflecting on not just what it means for England in terms of the Ashes coming up, but also how good that series was for India and the individual narratives of that India side. Like, they came in to this series having, I think we've just forgotten that Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma retired just before this series. And that's a huge, huge thing for Shubman Gill at 24, 25 years old to come in and captain his first assignment being this kind of series, to score as many runs as he did, for all those like returning faces, Rishabh Pant and, the old grizzled KL Rahul, you've got Bumrah, the best in the world. And it really sets up that narrative for this new generation of India superstars who've kind of been groomed to take on this role, but have been allowed to be young and carefree up until now, because you've got Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma and all those players at the top. And now they're taking on that burden of driving this India side forward. And I think this series perfectly sets that up for them to do that. I know they're not playing much Test cricket for the next few months. I don't know when they next play their Test, but I don't think it's soon. But I think when they do play Test cricket again, that storyline is perfectly set up by this series. So if anything, there is kind of like a takeaway from this series. You've got 2 sides who are now perfectly set up for what comes next. England with the Ashes and India for this new generation of players that are taking on that responsibility.
KL Rahul, I think in the flash interview on the pitch after the Oval, basically said this is top of the tree. This is as good as the Gabba. This is as good as everything else. You're like, wow, you've played a lot of cricket. You've played a lot of international cricket, and he was putting it on a par of World Cup wins. It was an amazing, amazing kind of 56 minutes. Vidushan Hantharaj kind of wrote the piece on it for Cricinfo, where kind of it was just an amazing. There was a fear at the end of day 4 that they'd really mucked it up. That you had a crowd of people that had 7 hours invested in the day. Why are we risking coming back tomorrow for a damp squid? Is it squib or squid?
It's definitely squib.
Squib. Yeah. Damp squib event.
Squids are supposed to be damp.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, and good on them. There was that you're going to have this kind of half full crowd that aren't really going to be invested in the day. And as it turned out, it ends up being this feature, episode length moment, hour of sporting perfection, where you had England score the 2 boundaries, one on purpose and one accidentally, to reduce the target by 25%. Then you had Jamie Smith going, and it was awesome, and it was amazing to be a part of it. It was loud, it was exciting, and it's nice when you watch something and you're there for something where you go, sweet, I'll remember that forever. And that's what last week was.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that sort of new generation of India players, Katya spoke to, I guess, the one who over the series enhanced his reputation the most, I guess, in Sundar. Obviously, there were lots of sort of main characters in the series, but he's the one who came in on the fringe of the side and is now a massive figure going forward, and you talked to him about that. And there's a lovely detail in there as well about him sort of growing up in a cricket mad family and his mum having to hand make his pads because they couldn't find ones big enough for him.
Yeah, said that in Chennai they couldn't find a sports shop that would sell pads that were small enough for him, because he's actually quite small. I don't think he's quite, well, he's small for a sportsman, I guess. Like, he's not quite 6 foot, but, you know, small for a sportsman. Because when I was looking at the celebrations, I was
It's a tough day for a lot of listeners.
But as a sports person, he's not ridiculously tall. And I was looking at the celebrations on the outfield and thinking he's actually quite a small person. So his mum hand-tailored his pads for him and stitched them. And he says he's still got it back home on his wall, which is a lovely detail.
Well, here is that chat with Washington.
Great to have you with us, Washington. At the time of recording, it's been exactly a week since that incredible morning at the Oval. Winning the game in that fashion right at the last minute, has it sunk in yet?
I mean, it was fabulous. I mean, just the way game turned out to be after every session, it was fabulous. Especially on day 5, that 40 minutes was super intense because when you know the target has come down to a single digit, you never know, anything could happen, and literally one delivery could change the entire course of the game and take the game from the opposition. So it was extremely intense, and yes, honestly, it's a blessing to be a part of the whole scenario and to have won the game. I think all of us would remember this game for a very, very long time. Not just the game, honestly, the whole series for a very long time. And the celebration was definitely the way we wanted it to be, the way we hoped and believed it would be coming into England a couple of months back. So I think it was amazing.
Was it a little bit conflicting? Because obviously that was for the series draw, but such an incredible match, one of India's greatest ever wins. Were you able to fully commit to that moment, even though it was a draw rather than a series win?
I mean, honestly, we've played some amazing brand of cricket throughout the series. And even the couple of games that we lost in Leeds and Lords, I think we played some very good cricket throughout the game. It was just about winning those crucial moments, which we didn't. And it definitely cost us the game. But that doesn't take away the fact that we've played some amazing cricket throughout the series, not just 1 or 2 games or in the games that we won. Yes, I mean, definitely a victory, a win in the series would have been sweeter, but this is definitely sweet because just the way we went about the whole series, every day was a massive learning for us. We really needed to bring our A game to win those challenges every single day. We were obviously, as a team, we encountered a lot of different challenges, which is something that you would expect from Test cricket, right? Like a kind of challenge that we were put against in the third Test was extremely different from the second Test, and you really need to find a way to come out of the situation that you've been put in and come out successful as well. So I think which we ended up doing as well. We really won a lot of situations throughout the series, and we were able to execute most of the plans that we really wanted to, and we spoke of in the dressing room. I think in many, many ways, this series will be remembered for a long time for all of us.
And what were those celebrations like in the dressing room afterwards?
I mean, as usual, as you would expect, there was a lot of fun, laughter. We just wanted to be in that scenario and that space. I think credits to the whole group. I mean, not just the players. Credits to the whole group. I mean, we came in as a massive group with a lot of support staff, a lot of staff as well. So credits to all of them. All of us genuinely gave 100% every single day throughout those 1.5 months to a couple of months. I think all of us were extremely happy, and celebration was definitely up there.
And what about Shubman Gill? Is he one for speech making, or does he tend to take a backseat in those kinds of celebrations?
I mean, you could imagine how much it would mean to him as well, leading for the first time, that too coming to a place in England, and he's had a fantastic series, both as a batsman and a leader. And as a leader, he was amazing. He was very clear as to what he needed from different individuals, and he communicated all the plans and all the thoughts that he had in his mind to all of us, and things were very clear in our head. So I think, all of us were really happy, and I'm extremely happy for him, honestly.
And you mentioned a little bit about the intensity of a 5-match test series and how challenging it is over the course of some time. It must have made an incredibly strong bond between your teammates and you as a side over the course of those 5 tests.
Truly, just the way the whole dressing room and the atmosphere was created, it was fabulous. It's an amazing atmosphere and a space to be a part of, because um, we're all quite young, and that's extremely exciting. Coming into the series, we knew for a fact that all of us would have to put our hands up and step up in different situations. And I think Endo series, when we look back, that's exactly what we've done. There were so many individuals throughout the series who stepped up and won the situations, and eventually won games for the team. And this is exactly the kind of team that we've always wanted to be, and we were in the series. And yes, they've created some amazing bonds on and off the field.
You mentioned about you being quite a young group. Obviously, you came into this series with a new captain and leadership team. Was there that feeling about being this exciting new young side, setting the new generation for India coming into the series?
It's super exciting because there's a lot that's expected out of you, and you need to find ways to come out successful in different situations. And that's where this format also gets really, really interesting, because it really tests you in every way, not just mentally but physically, but having to make those critical decisions when you're under pressure in the middle. And we had a lot of faith in everyone in the group, and that way it definitely helped. We knew all of us are really talented, and we would be able to win the situations for the team when it matters the most. And honestly, it's such a blessing to be sitting in the position that we are in after series.
Speaking more broadly about Test cricket then, I think I'm right in saying you're the only India player currently involved in all 3 formats of the international game. And out of those 3, you've played 13 Test matches at this point, but you've been involved in an epic 5 Test series just now. You're involved in the Border Gavaskar Trophy in Australia. Is this your favourite format?
Doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter if it's favorite or not, because it's the ultimate format. Every single, every single individual or a kid who took up this sport wanted to play this format, and it was a massive dream for me to get to this format, and I'm living in that dream right now. And absolutely, it's a great blessing to be playing this format, because genuinely teaches you a lot about a lot of things in life and how to handle different situations, and it tests you in every way. That's even more exciting, and how you need to genuinely fight through those moments and come out successful. And it gives you different learnings on different days. That way, it's just a blessing to be playing this format. Honestly, that's the least I could say, because some of the greats have played this format and been really successful for their countries, and their names have always been remembered. Just for the fact that obviously they've achieved a lot of milestones in their personal career, but also the fact that they've won some of the big games for their country uh, is one thing they would always be remembered for. I think, Test cricket is a real beauty, and all of us, especially the ones who played and been a part of in this series, all of us feel extremely, grateful.
You mentioned kind of duty there. As a young India player coming through, do you feel that kind of weight of history of all those Indian greats on your shoulders when you play? Maybe weight's the wrong word, but that legacy of Indian greats playing Test cricket when you're coming out on the field, and that sense that history needs to be protected and carried on?
Honestly, you can't be thinking about it too much, because those achievements are immense, are of another level, of another class. So if you're gonna think about it every time we go out there on the field, it's only gonna put us under a lot of pressure. But just the fact that we've got this blessing of playing this format itself means that we've got the ability and we've got the willpower to go through everything that this format will come up against. It's just about being in present and understanding what are your strengths and what are the skill sets that you're blessed with, and keep building on them. You genuinely gotta work within your strengths and work as a group. Need to understand exactly what's required out of you for the team's for the team's perspective, and generally need to be able to do everything that the team wants you to do. And that's always been my mindset, honestly. I try and read the situation. I try and see what's expected out of me for the team, and try to do exactly that. And that way, it keeps my head also extremely clear. And my goal is just one, and I'm not thinking about too many different things that's happening around me. So that way, it's a lot more simple, and that's what has worked for me as well. So I think this is exactly what I've been doing in the last 13 tests. I mean, the 13 tests that I've been.
Going a bit deeper into this series then and your role in it, there were two standout innings you played with the bat. First, the century at Old Trafford. Could you talk me through how you felt in the moment of bringing up your century, having had some time out of the side and got close a couple of times before?
Massive blessing, honestly. And those couple of times also made me believe and understand that, you know what, this is definitely around the corner. This is definitely happening to you in your life. And I just didn't have to be too desperate to cross that milestone. I knew that, okay, if I could get get an 85, if I could get a 96, I could definitely get 100 as well. And it's just around the corner. And it definitely will happen at the right time. And it happened in one of the most crunch situations the whole series, and Old Trafford. It's a fabulous place to play cricket in, and yes, it's an amazing feeling. It's just a dream, and I lived that dream on that day, and my family was extremely happy. Some of the feelings and things can't really be explained in words, but yes, it's a massive. I mean, it's a great blessing to be getting 100 for India.
Were your family over here to watch you bring that century up?
I wish they were here, but some of my friends were in the stadium and they were really happy. But yeah, back home, I mean, families back home, and yeah, they were extremely glued to the TV themselves.
I guess you would have known from the start of that innings that you were going to have to bat time to save the game rather than try and score runs to win a game. How does getting into that, or what's the challenge of getting into that mindset of batting time rather than aiming for a specific target?
Honestly, time or even target, for that matter, is something that I personally can't think too much on, because what's more important is what's going to happen at that moment, which is the present. And I really need to be doing everything right to be able to be solid every single delivery, and uh, build a partnership, and eventually keep moving as a team in the situation. I think there's always a few triggers in my head, as there would be for any batsman. I just wanted to focus on those triggers and be in the present, and just let everything go. And honestly, I've enjoyed batting in the series every time I was there in the middle. England had a quality bowling attack, especially with Stokes bowling full fledged. Their bowling only has gotten even more, stronger, and they had their good spells coming in every, like over and again. I mean, there were no phases in the game where we could relax, honestly. So I thought I just enjoyed batting and playing those scenarios, and I didn't really want to think about the result, or think about too many things that were in my control. Just wanted to enjoy batting, just wanted to watch the ball and really focus hard. And end of the day, I was gifted with one of the most valuable things, and extremely grateful for that.
Well, we should also talk about the ends to that game, the last hour, and the drama on the field about when the draw would be agreed. How did you find that kind of needle on your end? Was it funny, or are you the kind of player who just blocks all that noise out?
I mean, it just happens in any sport, doesn't it? We've seen a lot of such things happen, not just in cricket, but in every sport, in any sport. I mean, and that's how sport is. I mean, it brings out a lot. I think, yeah, it was just it's just an experience for all of us, honestly.
When that tension rises and when that kind of competition gets more intense, would you say it brings out the best in you as a player?
100%. You ask this to any player, that's exactly what he would say, because especially in Test cricket, you want to be challenged, because that's exactly what you'd be expecting every single day. And when the situation gets tough, I mean, the only thing that would um, get over it, and that'll help you get over it and come out successful, is being really tough in your head. And every player who's played this format and been successful would have done this extremely well, and over a long period of time, quite consistently as well. So yes.
But then if we flip it to the oval innings, which was a different kind of innings, you were batting down at number 9 and you hit 4 sixes in your half century and batting mostly with Mohammad Siraj at number 11. Is batting with the tail and accelerating towards the end of the innings something that you've worked on as part of that lower and middle order in the Test format?
I mean, you just need to do a bit of math in your head, and that's about it, honestly. And it comes with a lot of experience as well. And just the way things turned out to be that evening for me and for the team, obviously, was amazing. I mean, because we genuinely wanted to be anywhere over 360. I think we got that as well. So, yes, I've always enjoyed batting, and to be in that situation where uh, I should be quite calculative and also take my chances was a good situation to be in. And it was Prasad, and Prasad also uh, uh, told me the things that I exactly wanted to hear in that particular situation, and that definitely helped. And yes.
How do you see your role with the bat going forward, or what do you see your best role as a Test batter? Because it's something you've gone up the order in first class cricket, right?
Honestly, I want to be a cricketer where the team would be able to put me in any situation and believe that he would come out successful. And that's the kind of cricketer I want to be. Um, with the bat, it's no different. I just want to be able to win the situations and games for the team, no matter which order, batting order, no matter which situation. I should be able to win situations and win those critical moments for the team, no matter what is expected out of me. And I should be prepared to be able to pull out those skill sets when it matters the most.
But if we look at your role kind of more generally as an all-rounder, you got back into the side in Pune as a second spinner and then came into this series as a second spinner. Do you see yourself in that traditional all-rounder role going forward, or as more of a kind of first choice spinner?
No, definitely. I mean, I look at myself as a genuine all-rounder, and someone who a team could bank on and want to be an asset for the team in every format. I think that gives me a lot more opportunities to win the game for the team in any format, and to be able to do batting and bowling, especially in this format, is a blessing, because you're always in the game, and there are more opportunities for you to make a mark for the team and win games for the team. That's a lot. That's extremely exciting. If you look at the likes of Jack Callis, he's got some unbelievable numbers. I don't know if those numbers would ever be achieved by anyone else. But yeah, it's extremely interesting to be a genuine all rounder.
And obviously that question kind of concerns Ashwin and Jadeja, who have held those spin bowling all-rounder roles in the India side for a really long time. How do you feel about effectively succeeding those players in the India team? I mean, I know Jadeja is still around, but I guess it's been a theme of your career that people have been looking to you to see if you can take on that mantle.
I mean, as I said, if I think about the achievements they've done for India, especially in this format, over a very long period of time, it's only going to put me under a lot of pressure, and I don't want to be in that position. I mean, God has blessed me with certain skill sets, and He's also blessed me with the opportunities that I'm getting in Test cricket. I should just be able to enjoy every single day and play to my strengths every single day. And as long as I'm giving my 100% and giving my whole energy to what we want to achieve as a team, I think that's exactly the kind of space I want to be in, and that will bring out the best in me as well. So that's exactly what has happened to me in the recent past, especially in Test cricket. So.
Have you always been good at taking the pressure off yourself, or is it something you've had to learn as you've kind of got older in your career to take your mind off cricket and off your career?
Definitely comes with a lot of experience, and um, it has a lot to do with how you control your mind. I think that's about it. And especially in the last 1 or 2 years, I've done a lot of breathing, and it's always helped me, especially in those crunch moments. And it's also helped me to be a lot more aware of myself and bring out the best in myself every single day. I think it just comes with experience, and you just need to understand what kind of a guy you are, and what kind of situations will trigger you quite differently. And yes, I'm happy.
On your journey overall, then, you obviously had that period where you were out of the side or the test side for a few years. And during that time, you had people like Kuldeep making his mark in the test side. And you got to a point where you hadn't played a test in a good few years. At that point, those kind of pressure and taking the pressure off yourself, were you still able to do that and trust that it was going to happen at some stage, that you were going to come back in?
I mean, I genuinely had the belief that I'd play Test cricket again, because I felt that I had the skill sets to be playing the Test cricket. But obviously, it's easier said than done to just think that, you know what, it's just going to happen and just be in the present and let go of everything. At least that's how it was for me about 3-4 years back. But yes, all it matters is right now, and I'm happy to be in the situation that I'm in right now, and really looking forward to winning a lot of games for India, especially in this format, because it's an exciting format. As I said, as an all-rounder, I have a lot more opportunities to make an impact for the team, and when different situations in the game as well for the team. I think it's only going to be very exciting for all of us.
But during that time, did you make any technical adjustments to your bowling to make yourself more of a kind of, I guess, attractive option to pick in the squad for that format?
Yes, I tried a lot, but I also came to a place where I just I just thought I should believe a lot in my strengths and not really do anything outside of my strengths as well. I mean, trying to evolve is definitely a thing that everybody wants to do, no matter what it is about in their life. But having to build or evolve from strengths is something that I genuinely learned about, and that's one thing life has taught me, because you can't really go away from your DNA or skill sets. That's not gonna work for you in the longer run. So I thought, as long as I'm working within my skill sets and within my strengths and trying to evolve from there, I think I'm giving myself a lot more opportunities uh, to be really good in any skill set. To be honest, to be really good and at the top of my game very consistently.
And one of those strengths is that you get a lot of drift and a lot of movement through the air. Is that something that's come naturally to you? Is that something you've had to work on as part of your skill set?
I think it has a lot to do with my bowling action and with my finish as well. But yes, it's just happened over a period of time, and I also played a couple of games for Lancashire about 2-3 years back, and that also gave me lot of learnings as to a lot of awareness about my bowling and what my bowling could bring in, or what my kind of bowling could bring in England, and because the conditions are quite different here. Duke ball is quite different from the SG ball. So, well, I mean, you could expect things to happen quite differently from your own skill sets in two different conditions and in two different balls, and that's exactly what's happened for me in the series as well. So yeah.
And on the field, when you go about, how do you go about working out a batter? Are you someone who seeks out loads and loads of footage before a series to work out a batter? Or are you on the field constantly analysing how you want to bowl at someone?
I definitely do that. I definitely do. I mean, watch a lot of videos and try to understand the batsman's mindset and their release shot, especially. But Gauti Bhai honestly has helped me a lot, especially in the series with game plans and how to go about my bowling with, I mean, against different batsmen. That does definitely work for me in the series, and I was very clear as to this is exactly what I want to do, and let me just focus on this. And he's the one who's like honestly gave me a plan as to this is what is expected of you, and this is the best way to go about to achieve what you want to achieve. And obviously, captain was always there in the middle, giving me those crucial pointers. And KL was also someone who I could always bank on uh, uh, for all of these information. As a senior player is obviously seen a lot, especially in this format, and he's always helped all the bowlers. To be fair, all the bowlers whenever we needed any information.
Was KR Rahul particularly influential on this tour or important to you as a group, given how many series he's been involved with England and the position of seniority he now holds as an India player?
Definitely, he's helped all the bowlers, and even as a unit, we've uh, we've gotten a lot of information and knowledge about what's required out of us, especially when we are out there and fielding as a whole unit. And his experience goes a long way, and it's definitely helped all of us as bowlers.
Mm. And drilling back into this series and a couple of moments in this series in particular, if you look at another situation like the Lord's Test, you took 4 wickets on day 4 when it looked like the intensity on the field had been ramped up a notch from the previous day. You obviously had that bit in the evening where tempers flared with Zach Crawley. Was that a conscious effort to step up that intensity on the field on that day at Lord's?
I mean, wanting to step up and having to step up is uh, is mandatory, and it's asked out of us, no matter the situation, no matter way we're playing, especially in this format, playing for country. So we just wanted to bring our A game, because we genuinely thought we had a great opportunity to win the game in Lords. And it was just about breaking that partnership between Stokes and Root. And we knew that if we could get a few wickets over there, we would definitely be able to put ourselves in a position where we would chase anywhere around 180, 190, and that's exactly the kind of place we put ourselves as well later on. So yes, having to bring our A game is something that's expected out of us every single day in this format.
I mean, sure, you always want to bring your A game, but there was also a bit more, I guess, aggression between both sides on the field from that moment onwards. Was there a talk to get up in England's faces at that point and make them uncomfortable?
No, we just needed to play our cricket, play our best cricket. I mean, that's all is required for us to win the game. Honestly, whatever helps the individual, and for different individuals, different things work. But whatever works, they gotta find their own ways and bring their A game every single day.
We spoke about it a little bit earlier, but how is the team atmosphere under Gautam Gambhir and Shubman Gill compared to other teams you've played in?
I mean, credit to them for having such a calm dressing room throughout the series. The dressing room was super calm throughout the series. They communicated as to what exactly is expected out of us in different situations, and we were very clear as to okay, you know what, this is what is expected. Let me put my whole energy on this objective and try and achieve it for the team. And both of them have a lot of belief in their players, and that really helps in the bigger picture, because when you know that you've got the backing of the coach and the captain, uh, you only think about the team's perspective, and you only think about the team and what the team requires out of the situation, and you do anything to literally fight through the situation and come out successful. I think they've done an amazing job throughout the series.
And was Gautam Gambhir someone you looked up to growing up and coming into cricket?
100%. He also had number 5 on his back of the jersey, and obviously he's a left-hander. He was extremely elegant, and the only thing that I didn't enjoy was bowling to him in the IPL. He was someone who was super successful against me. But yes, he's an amazing human being. He's had so much faith in all of us to he's so much faith in all of us that we would fight in every situation and win the game for the team. And it's amazing, and really glad to see him being really happy at the end of the series.
Could you tell me a bit more about your upbringing and how you came into cricket? Because you got called up to India so young.
Oh, I just wanted to play cricket right from the word go, probably. I mean, I started playing cricket very early on, and thanks to my dad for letting me play cricket every single day and feeding me balls as well. I think just wanted to play cricket and didn't really want to think too much about what's going to happen ahead. But God's always been extremely kind to me in my life. I mean, He's always given me opportunities, and He's always given me strength to fight and see through a lot of experience as well. So I'm grateful.
Do you have siblings that you used to play with growing up, or was it mainly your dad that you were playing and he was throwing balls down to you?
No, my sister is a professional cricketer as well. She's played first class for Tamil Nadu. So yes, cricket was something which was a lot talked about at home, and it was all about cricket growing up for me with my family in particular.
Am I right in saying your dad used to make customized pads for you?
Yeah, they did, because I was too small and they couldn't find a pads for me in any of the sports shops in Chennai. So my mom had to stitch and tailor a leg guard for me, and I still have it at home right now.
That's incredible. Just to finish up, how do you reflect on your rise now from being that kid walking out in pads that your mum stitched for you to being called up to India as a teenager in that amazing Border Gavaskar Trophy win, having that time out of the side, and now being someone who I think most people will expect to play most tests in most conditions?
It's been a massive blessing, honestly, to get all these opportunities. Obviously, I was tested quite differently in different situations, but just the fact that I could play cricket for the country, it's the biggest blessing.
Our partners Kia want to help you and your family get closer to the action and create inspiring memories that will last a lifetime. On the 20th of September, they're giving back to young cricket fans and offering 11 to 14-year-old fans a chance to train at the iconic Kia Oval with Kumar Sangakkara and top coaches at Surrey County Cricket Club, before playing a tournament right on the pitch to show off all they have learnt. Enter through the link in the description. We're doing a live show, an end of summer special on Wednesday, the 24th of September at the Leather Exchange at Leather Market Street, South London. Very easy to get to, very close to London Bridge. Promise to be a very fun evening with, all your favourites from the Wisden Cricket Weekly podcast crew, talking about, what's happening this season. There's been loads that's gone on already, loads more to come, and looking ahead to the Ashes, because we all love talking about the Ashes. There'll be quizzes, there'll be chances to answer your questions, there'll be chances just to have a chat and have a drink. It'll be a great way to round off the season. I'm especially excited because last time we did a live show, I was all ready, I'd written a quiz myself, which we had prepared and ready to go, and then I got food poisoning the day of, couldn't turn up. This time I'm going to be watching what I eat the whole week leading up to it. It's going to be great. So tickets are not on sale to the general public yet, but they are on sale if you subscribed to the Patreon. You should be subscribing to the page anyway. It's great. You get 2 extra weekly shows, one on county cricket, one on something diving into a topic. This week is a mailbag special with Phil, allowing Phil to really get his teeth into all of our subscribers' questions. There's a great chat on there as well. But the key thing is you get access to tickets now, and depending on the tier of Patreon subscriber which you go for, you also get money off your ticket. And if you are a Patreon subscriber, I'd get your tickets now, because when they do go on general sale, there's a chance that they'll all be sold out. So subscribe to the Patreon, get a ticket to the live show, come to the live show, or if you're not going to do that, then you have to wait a couple of weeks to get tickets. And we're going to keep banging on about this live show until you get a ticket. And we'll see you all there on, as I say, Wednesday, 24th of September at the Leather Exchange near to London Bridge. Cam, we've had some changes to the T20 Blast structure announced. Tell us about them.
Okay, so the men's and women's blasts and structures have changed slightly for next year. The men's changes, we're going to go top line here. Men's changes, I think, are an improvement. Women's changes, fine. I'm a bit confused about them. Men's, rather than having 2 groups of 9 and 14 group stage games, there is now going to be 12 group stage games. So they've lost 2, and it's going to be 3 groups of 6 rather than 2 groups of 9. So you play everyone in your group twice. You play 2 other randomers once each, and then kind of Top 2 from each of the 3 groups go through to the quarterfinals, plus 2 best placed third finishes. Also, and very, very, very importantly, finals day is no longer 7 years after the group stage. Basically, it's all going to be played in one block before the 100. It's not perfect. I think the Blast in its current form, I think is a bad competition. The more I've paid attention to it, the less I've liked it, because it's somehow both condensed, bloated, and jeopardy-less. You play this 120 odd game group stage, which takes place over however many weeks. It's a third of the length of a Premier League season. You blink for 2 days and another 36 matches have been played. You have no idea what's going on. Then at the end of it, your reward is all the jeopardy that's involved after 120 matches is to finish 4th out of 9 to make it to the quarterfinals. And then you're just in a shootout 7 weeks later with who's got their overseas left. So we have moved away from that, thankfully. Now we're going to have a bit more jeopardy involved in the group stage, because rather than it just being 4th place, which is the place of interest, you have kind of 2nd, and in a couple of groups you've got 3rd as well in a smaller group. So that will be fine. Better. You look like you disagree. That's fine.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I maybe slightly better. I mean, you're going to have some teams that are going through 3rd out of 6, which is comparable to 4th out of 9. And I think the thing that I mainly think is that you had with the influx of cash from the 100, you had kind of a once in a generation, bigger than that, once in a lifetime, really, chance to rethink and kind of reinvent what county cricket and the county schedule and all the competitions should look like, and to be radical and say, like, we actually think we can come up with this a completely different way of doing it. And instead, they've just gone like, I don't know, lop off 2 games. What does that look like, basically? And it's still going to be pretty confusing, because as you say, you've got everyone playing everyone, but also 2 other teams, and you're going to have best 3rd place teams going through. And how do you calculate that across groups, and net run rate being the differentiator, but across 2 teams who never played each other? And I think it's still going to be reasonably tricky to follow. But the knockouts being before the 100 is good, but also we did have that right back in 2023 and 2022. They did do that,
and it was better.
So like that's good that it's happening, but that's not a function of the restructuring. That's just a function of they've remembered that was a good idea. So I think basically they had a chance to do something really good, and they've done like kind of not.
But
loads.
where is the really good alternative? Fundamentally, 18 is a bad number if you're trying to make a quarterfinal out of something. Like, that's just like mathematically a fact. Like, if you want, like, you could make this dream case scenario where you go, Scotland, Ireland come in, we're going to have 20 teams here, 4 groups of 5, top 2 out of each 5 go through to the quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals, 8 group stage games. That's a neat and tidy competition, but the counties need to play games. Oh, but do they need to play as many games now with the 100 money? You may ask. Good question. I don't really know. But as a sport, we have somehow... I was thinking about this last night when I knew we were going to talk about it. If you, like... Granted, this is in the county championship rather than the Blast, and we're still waiting to find out what the county championship is officially going to look like next year. If either of you were tasked with, like, someone coming up to you and goes, "All right, guys, can we have we've got 18 teams and we'd like 2 divisions, please. They're playing some 5-side football on like a Monday night. What structure should we go to?" You go, "Oh, sweet. Why don't you just go 2 divisions of 9? You play everyone twice." And that's fine, whatever. That's not possible for whatever reason in cricket. So instead we have 1 group of 8, 1 group of 10. And the group of 8 is actually Div 2, where they play each other twice. So they have some kind of competitive integrity there. Whereas Div 1 is 10 teams and they play 14 games. So you only play some teams twice rather than once. I think it's a real acknowledgement of kind of the level of apathy towards the sport and the domestic game that sits within cricket fans. Because for the last multiple years, the 2 teams, whether it be Surrey and Hampshire, Surrey and Essex, this year it's going to be Surrey and Nottinghamshire, who are the 2 title challengers. They're only going to play each other once. Just imagine if it was like the last day of the football season and Liverpool and City had only played each other once and there was like 1 win in it. And you found out that City had played like Derby twice. And the other Derby, they're really not in the Prem at the moment. But the case in point is there.
Everything comes out as football. That's
everything
the point
comes out as football, exactly. QPR started 1-1, point against Preston. Not sure it's a good result yet.
Good. Glad we got to QPR before we got to the Metro Bank One Day Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, there have also been some changes to the women's white ball competition structures. We will talk about them tomorrow on the Women's Weekly Pod. So yeah, don't worry, Cam, you're off the hook for. Yeah,
I was ready to go.
Yeah, sorry.
Fewer games. Don't understand why.
Yeah. Right, Cam, the 100.
That's me again.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, we've already talked about the off-field stuff with Butch. Tell me in 100 seconds, if you can, what's been going on the field. Dan, start the clock.
Right. We're going top. We're not going to go results here because that'll all have changed by the time people listen to them. So we're going to go players. I'm going to highlight Rayan Ahmed, Sonny Baker, Sam Curran. Rayan Ahmed, his summer stock continues to rise, contributing with both bat and ball for the Trent Rockets. Sonny Baker, he's bowling quick. He's seaming the ball around. Interesting. I saw a colleague message me yesterday kind of asking kind of odds on him making his test debut at the MCG with England 3-0 down. I think that's a good game. What England players debut in the Ashes this winter? Sonny Baker, good option. Third and finally, Sam Curran bowling this super slow ball. He had been trialling it and using it in the Blast, but it's just excellent. And when you think of why slow ball is effective, because it's the disparity between your on-pace delivery and your off-pace delivery. He's bowling these at less than 50 mile an hour and then dancing when he gets wickets afterwards as well. Rashid Khan's come in to directly replace Adam Zampa at Oval Invincibles. They are 2 from 2. They're continuing to win lots of matches. Grace Harris in the women's comp, she's averaging 157 after 3 innings. That's good. And then my main takeaway is also that Oval Invincibles and Training Rockets have changed the colour of their trousers to be offset, and they are bad.
I think we might even have another 30 seconds to fill there.
No, it's fine.
I'll take a couple. Davina Perrin should be in England's World Cup squad in whenever it's announced in a couple of weeks. I'll go on Grace Harris as well. Lauren discussed it in depth on the women's pod last week. No one hits it harder in the women's game than Grace Harris does at the minute. She also says no one can lift higher in the gym and is a lot stronger than everyone else in Grim.
And if you want more on that Davina Perrin opinion, again, Women's Weekly podcast tomorrow. Tune in. My thing is also Ben McKinney, who obviously we talked about loads at the start of the season when it seemed like he was the guy that was like, look out for him. And then it didn't quite happen at the start of the County Championship. He got 1 good 100 and that's about it. And then on the big show yesterday, he gets 5 boundaries and 6 balls and just looks fun, doesn't he? Tall. So I think because he's tall, and he definitely is tall. He's not even for a sportsman, he's tall. I sort of think that he looks a bit like Zach Crawley, which is, I think, quite reductive, probably just 2 tall opening batters, but I'm sticking with it. Right, Katya, and this is the disparity between the 100 and county cricket, but we're asking for a Metro Bank minute, having gone for 100 seconds on the 100, so go.
I've also been told it's a very tight minute, so...
Well, yeah, and you prepared for 3 minutes of stuff, so...
Main player on a highlight, Alex Green, Leicestershire, pacer, very exciting, England under-19s. And he took a fifer playing for Leicestershire against Surrey, took 5 for 25, his wickets included Ben Folkes, and Ollie Sykes, Josh Blake, very, very good player. And then, having not had a list A fifer at all in his career, he then took one in his next game as well against Gloucestershire. So if people want another young, up-and-coming, tall, 6'6", I'm going to say.
That's big.
There you go. He is tall. Pacer to follow through the ranks. Alex Green is you want to go for. Imam Ul-Haq is also quite good. Completely didn't realise that he was back. But yeah, he scored 159 off 130 balls for Yorkshire. Emilio Gay is also quite good. I've heard he scored a century the other day as well. How am I doing for Metro Bank minute? Any more required?
Keep going if you want to. I mean, there's something in the water at Leicestershire, isn't there, with Alex Green, Josh Hull. They just keep producing big boys, don't they?
I remember I spoke to James Taylor, who's on the start.
Oh yes, that's true. The water didn't get to it.
It's a tough day for James, that. And I remember we spoke to him about Josh Hull last year, and he was like, "You think he's big? Wait for the next one." And he's like, Alex Green, he's 18, so like he's like a fast bowling cyborg. Like, he's a big boy who like wide shoulder, looks like he should be playing rugby, and is good. He's bowling like mid-80s, kind of armpit length. It looks horrible to face. In terms of like the England moulding of what they want a fast bowler to look like, he's ticking a lot of boxes. If cricket doesn't work out, he'll be like rowing in the Olympics at some point stage. Like, he'll be fine. Whatever happens, he'll be fine.
Am I making it up? Or there are quite a lot of farms around Leicestershire? Because am I making up that Josh Hull?
I'm from Wandsworth. I don't.
Oh, you think? Do you think that basically getting all the local farm hands in?
Yeah, essentially, I think they kind of breed them on the farms and bring them into Grace Road.
That's great. Okay, you heard it here first. Who else have we seen? Taz Ali looks fun, doesn't he? Bowling's and Rispin on 19s World Cup veteran. Lad from Lancashire that I saw some great content on the One Day Cup social channels about Cam.
I think he's a guy called Arav Shetty. He's 21. He basically is an offie who has a carom ball. And he's come to kind of a mix between kind of Saka and the MCC YC's stuff as well, I believe. I think that's it's one of the interesting parts of the Metro Bank competition is because you're obviously missing all these players. A lot of counties are looking for fill-ins, and that's really where a setup like Saka comes into play. I think they've got four people playing this year who've been signed for the competition. Amrit Basra at Derbyshire made kind of 70 or 50 in his second game. So there are a lot of I feel a bit guilty because there are a lot of individually really lovely storylines coming out of the Metro Bank. It's just mainly they're kind of the same one. It'll be this young player does X for the first time, and there are lots of opportunities and there are people rising to the occasion. And it's probably in a bit of a weird way more cutthroat than we imagine or realise, because these people have basically been hired for this month, and it's like, go, perform. And so the people who have been signed in, if they do well, they're pretty much giving themselves kind of a new lease of life, a new opportunity for next year.
Can we also, if we're just extend the Metro Bank minute slightly to talk about Zaman Akhtar?
Yeah.
Very, very good Saka.
We're time wasted during the Metro Bank minute. We're calling out for gloves and water,
Zaman Akhtar, very good bowler. He's signed for Essex for next season, if I'm right. But yeah, he's got 8 wickets, a lot of wickets in 4 games, I think. And Gloucestershire are also top of the table, and they've been doing really well. So yeah, he's exciting, and he's also one to follow. Yeah, no, it's a handy piece of work from Essex. And yeah, it's a good point that you get, because you get sometimes also basically club cricketers who get a go in the Metro Bank, and you think if you're one of those guys, you think like if I go badly here, then at the end of this I'm back playing Prem cricket basically, and if I go really well, then and someone rolls an ankle in the 100, then they're gonna be like, oh, let's have a look at this guy, and all of a sudden I'm gonna be playing on Sky. Like it's a weird time in the English cricket calendar, but I have grown to like how everything that works in English cricket is almost entirely by accident, and all the stuff they try and design and really fiddle with doesn't seem to come off. And I think somehow the One Day Cup is working at the moment. Saying something? No?
I just find I quite like Zaman Akhtar is also known as Zoom Akhtar, and I just really enjoy a fast bowler being called Zoom.
That is good. That is a good place to end it. A reminder that we have collaborated with Hertfordshire-based brewery Mad Squirrel to revive the Wisden beer range, featuring firstly the Little Wonder, the nickname of John Wisden, which is a 4.7% pale ale, bursting with tropical fruit, layered with aromatic herbs and anchored by a bold, weighty bitterness. The second beer in the short but sweet lineup is the Afternoon Session, which, as the name suggests, is the perfect choice for an easygoing cricketing afternoon. This 3.8% gluten-free pale ale is light, fruity and effortlessly drinkable. You can head to Mad Squirrel's website to create your custom packs of 6, 12 or 24 beers with free next day delivery. Find the link in the description below, and trust us, you won't be disappointed. Elsewhere around the world, Zimbabwe have been beaten 2-0 by New Zealand. The Black Caps won the second of those games by an innings and 359 runs, making 601 for 3 declared and bowling Zimbabwe out for 125 and 117. Cam, is this bad? It's obviously great that Zimbabwe want to play all these tests. We've talked about their big schedule this year, and I feel like we're supposed to say they will get better with this experience and it's too early to judge them. But they have now played 5 tests against England, South Africa and New Zealand. Against the first 2 of those teams, they didn't make 300. They didn't make 202 games against New Zealand, and they've taken 10 wickets in an innings once in those 5 games. Are they getting better? Is this actually... how am I supposed to feel about this?
Yeah, I'm kind of on board with you at the moment. I think fundamentally it's too hard and soon to judge, basically, because what we all wanted when Zimbabwe came to the UK earlier this year, and it was, wow, they're playing the second most test matches out of any country this year. I think it was, they're playing 11. And it was like, isn't that amazing? There's the old story of, I think it's Ed Joyce, after Ireland got rolled by South Africa at a World Cup, kind of a journalist goes like, is this not a good example of like why you shouldn't be here? And he's like, no, it's exactly the example of why we should be here, because we need these opportunities and experiences to get better. Unfortunately, if you kind of condense those opportunities over a period of time where yourselves haven't been able to improve, you end up getting pumped every week, basically. And it's like quite historic losses. Well, at least this one against New Zealand was. I think there was stats I've never even heard of before, where it was like the difference between the batting and bowling average of the two teams, and like New Zealand's batting average was 110 and Zimbabwe's was 11. I was like, I've never heard this metric used ever. To be fair, actually I have. It's called like a cricket score. It's just used over one period. Just normally just used 2 runs versus whatever.
Got another stat. I think it was only the second time 3 players in the same innings have scored 150s or 150 plus.
That is a good stat.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I think until you have an investment in kind of a first class system, and you could I messaged Nathan Johns, the kind of colleague, about this yesterday, who covers a lot of Irish cricket and kind of Ireland aren't an associate nation, but they're kind of in a similar standing to Zimbabwe as a kind of a test playing nation outside the WTC. And he was just like, until you really invest in a first class system, and maybe you can criticize or critique the idea of maybe the best way of Zimbabwe spending this money this year wasn't all in on test cricket. It was actually a case of going down the first class route. It's hard to judge because you really want to see these results in 3 years' time. Like realistically, 2 of Zimbabwe's top 3, and Nick Welsh and Ben Curran, were kind of like jobbing and like moderately successful county players here, but like I think off the top of my head, they average kind of mid-20s, whether they were released or decided to go back to Zimbabwe for the opportunity to play for their country, I don't know. But that's the standard of 66% of their top 3 are 2 guys who were kind of okay county players here. So when we then go, all right, guys, you go and play New Zealand, what are you kind of expecting?
Yeah.
I also kind of feel if you're a country like Zimbabwe or Ireland, you must be like, well, we can't win because you want us to play test cricket. And then when we 100%. Do play test cricket, you criticise that we're not good enough to play test cricket. So what do you really want? And I actually feel kind of like whatever they do, they're not going to be able to get it right. So they might as well just play as many tests, even if they are getting rolled, play as many tests as possible and kind of hope that will lead to improvement rather than, because that, I would estimate they're sacrificing money to do this anyway. So whatever they're going to do, they're going to end up sacrificing money. So maybe this is the best route to go down if they're stuck between that rock and a hard place. But yeah, I mean, you can't argue that was a spectacle of test cricket to behold. But then you're not going to get that kind of spectacle unless you put that kind of time in, I guess. So many things have to happen until you get that spectacle of test cricket. And I wonder whether it's both. If you're going to say, right, we're just going to throw the money at this, then maybe you try and throw the money at both at the same time and hope that you can accelerate that development.
I think I agree with Katya in that it's always better to be criticising action rather than inaction. If the problem is, they've given it a fair crack this year, they've really gone for it and fallen short, fine. Like in what world is anyone ever going to criticise Zimbabwe for trying to back and play loads of test cricket and give these players the opportunity to improve on the biggest stage in the world game? Like, fine. Like, yes, it's a shame if this is how it's kind of ended up now, but I'd rather us be sat here saying, Car, isn't it bad? Isn't it a shame they got thumped by New Zealand? Then, Car, isn't it weird they haven't played New Zealand in 17 years, kind of thing?
Or just forgetting they exist almost.
Yeah. But I also feel like there's this pressure for like people to teams to self-impose a 2-tier system on themselves. So like, oh, you're playing test cricket, you probably shouldn't be playing New Zealand or England because the gap is too big between them. You should be playing like, Ireland, whoever else. And I just don't think that really works as a kind of self-imposed model, because you're still going to be, if you're playing test cricket, you might as well play everyone rather than just play a certain amount of teams, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But I think that with 2-tier test cricket, I mean, I've said this before, but I'm not as hard line on it as other people are. I mean, I think we do kind of have to oppose it, like
morally.
With one, well, no, not morally exactly, but with world cricket being set up as it is, because we know that how it will be implemented is just an excuse for the big 3 to play each other more, and then to let the smaller teams sort of wither away. So you can't sort of seem like you're in favour of it because you know that people will latch onto that and use it to do bad things. But if you were able to have a second division that allowed Zimbabwe to play long series against, Ireland, West Indies, Afghanistan, and maybe then also to promote like a Nepal or a Scotland into that division and to properly fund it, I think that would be a good thing that would allow, you know, to build up these teams, and you can then look at expanding it, or you have some sort of marquee series like Zimbabwe would play against South Africa because they're, you know, local rivals. You have that going on, but a lot of the time they're playing against teams of a similar level. But you can't advocate for a 2-tier test system because you know that all it's going to mean is England, India, Australia playing each other once every 18 months rather than once every 30 months, and then not playing anyone else, basically. So that's kind of that. So I'm not hardline anti 2-tier test cricket, except I sort of am because I know what it will actually look like in practicalities.
Is that you said? I think I agree with you in that. Are we talking about 2 tiers or 2 divisions? I know we're kind of getting sidetracked here, but I do think sports fans around the world, like, would you rather watch your team play in a competitive fixture that has jeopardy on it, or would you rather see them play an exhibition game against someone that's way better? Like Zimbabwe and West Indies had that World Cup qualifying decider in Harare, and like I think it's like the grounds like Harare Sports Club, and they have that like Castle Lager corner or something like, and it looks amazing. And so like if there's obviously an appetite for the sport there, and we know that that's not breaking news at all. And is it more likely that that ground is full for Zimbabwe playing New Zealand in a test series that kind of is about development, or is it more likely to be full if Ireland are there or the West Indies are there or whoever's there in a Division 2 game and the winner gets promoted into Division 1? There are a lot of things about 2 division test cricket I don't like, and I think I saw Ali Martin, I might be putting words in his mouth here, The Guardian, so if you didn't say this, I apologise. But kind of inferring, especially from England, we have so many diasporas here of, for instance, when Bangladesh came and played some ODIs at Chelmsford, there is such a wide array of people in the UK who want to watch cricket and would love the opportunity to see their country play here, that if we were to all of a sudden go to 2 tiers and 50% of the cricketing world won't have the opportunity to come to England and you won't engage these fans here, that's a massive missed opportunity. So yeah, pros and cons.
Well, if we finish with another football analogy, I was in Southampton at the weekend, and having been miserable in the Premier League all of last year, loads of Southampton fans out on the street when they won their first game of the season at the weekend.
Winning's better.
Winning is better. Well, 2 teams who don't do much winning at the moment, West Indies and Pakistan, are 1-1 in an ODI series.
Drawing
they're 1-1, yeah. So neither of them are winning. Between basically a series between the 2 most dysfunctional teams in world cricket. Babar Azam and Rizwan are back and scoring relatively slowly, which, you know, a lot of people are getting innovated about. West Indies held a press conference announcing the outcome of a summit we talked about on the pod a while back, where they invited Brian Lara and Clive Lloyd and Viv Richards to hash out exactly what's going on at West Indies. And it sounds from the Caribbean Cricket Podcast's excellent review of the hour and a half long press conference like it was both sort of pointless and could have been an email, and also quite funny. So I think they were like sort of taking questions from the YouTube live stream comment section for part of it, which you never want to go into the YouTube live stream comment section. Apparently it sort of went on for so long that Lara kind of just left halfway through. And there's some great screen grabs of Clive Lloyd just looking sort of a state of sort of permanent distress with his sort of face in his hands that are just guaranteed to be used whenever, you know, West Indies, you know, collapse the next time.
Is the thick of it coming back?
so that's. But anyway, yeah, it sounds like the main thing that came out of it was they're going to go to the board with what they think should happen, but they're not telling us yet. So anyway, that's happened. And Australia and South Africa, Australia and South Africa are playing a T20 series that's going on right now, and as we speak, Javul Brevis is 120 not out off 52 balls, so he's quite good, and there's still an over left in that, so we could end up with, well, a few more than that. The first game of that was won by Australia. Tim David is having a very good year in T20 cricket, hit lots of sixes, one of which was caught by one of the most Australian men you've ever seen. Holding 2 cans of vodka cocktails in one hand, cap, obviously, mullet, moustache. He did a very fun interview with The Age in which he said his only regret was that he wished he had a durry in his mouth. Katya, do you know what a durry is?
I'll pass on that one. No.
Context clues: it's a cigarette.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was hoping for. That is all we have time for this week. Cheers, Katya. Cheers, Cam. Join us next week.